Hey foodies, thanks for watching. I want to make a wedding cake, and I'm really excited about making this wedding cake. I'm aiming for 4 tiers. We'll see how high it gets. And we want to start with the densest cake at the bottom, and the bottom cake I'm going to make as a carrot cake. And then we're going to slowly go up, and I'm going to have chocolate cake above that, and then maybe another chocolate cake, but I'm gonna definitely go to vanilla for the very last one because I want it to be as light as possible for the top tier, mainly because I'm putting this on pedestal, like on columns, and I'm just excited. I mean, if you're gonna make a cake, let's make the cake. So I'm gonna jump right into it, and before I use my flour, I want to preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius because all of these cakes are getting baked at the same temperature. They may not bake at for the same amount of time, but they're all going to get baked at the same temperature. And I'm also going to grab some strawberries. I've got some frozen strawberries because strawberry season is just not the season for me right now. And I'm going to pop these onto my stove, and I'm just gonna put the stove right down on low. And the reason why I'm putting it down on low is I want to create a bit of a compote. And so if I just warm them up and then I can mash them a little bit, I'm gonna add some chocolate chips over here, and we're just gonna make like a chocolate ganache with strawberries. It's gonna be so good, and that'll be for the middle of the chocolate cake. And I'm starting it now because it needs to essentially be cool and ready to use for when we're putting it all together. So having said all that, now we can start. And I'm going to start with my gluten-free all-purpose flour blend. I'm using Frankie's gluten-free all-purpose flour blend because it's a true cup-for-cup blend of flour. It's been around since 2008. It's an award-winning flour blend, and I really like it. I'm adding my sugar, and I've got some water and oil in here. I just ran out of containers, so I thought I'm just gonna put the oil and the water together because it all goes together. And then we've got cinnamon, and our baking soda, our baking powder, and our salt. I'm gonna leave the raisins for a moment. And we want 4 eggs. And I'm gonna crack my 4 eggs into a separate container because it's safer knowing that you don't have any shells in your cake. There's a second. And it doesn't take that much longer. 3 and 4. Okay, and then I'm going to add my oil and my water, and in that goes. And I'm going to mix this up until it's really well combined. I'm going to start on low and slowly bring it up. This looks so light and fluffy. I'm gonna scrape down the sides. Oh, and that smells so good. While it was mixing, the strawberries on the stove were starting to bubble, so I took a potato masher and I just mashed them up a little bit. I'll give you a quick peek at that. So you can see I've mashed them all up, and I'm just letting that heat up just enough so that it'll melt the chocolate. So now I want to add lots of moisture. So I want to add some pineapple. And this is about the equivalent of a half a pineapple. And I'm going to add my carrots. That's about 3 cups worth of carrots. And I'm going to add my raisins. And if you don't like raisins, that's okay, don't add raisins. And again, I'm going to mix this up. So before I go on, I forgot to mention a little secret for you, and just between you and I. If you want your cakes to be a little bit fluffier, add just about a half a teaspoon of white vinegar to your mix and mix it up. And it'll make it just that much fluffier because it's gonna react with the baking soda and the baking powder and create more air bubbles. And it's gonna make it nice and light and fluffy. Okay, I'm gonna shut the stove off because that is bubbling. And, oh, this looks so good. So what I like about adding pineapple to my carrot cake is it does add a lot of moisture, and it extends the life of the cake once it's been made. So you could make it a day or two beforehand, and it's still going to taste really moist and really good. Which, when it comes to gluten-free baking, that's important because so much gluten-free baking out there is just awful. And I take pride in teaching you and discovering for myself really good, long-lasting foods. So they'll taste really good as if you just bake them. So I've got a nice large baking pan. I've greased the whole thing on the inside, and I am going to fill this up at least 2/3 full. I'm going to have a little bit left over, probably for some muffins. Oh, you know what? I think it'll take it all. That's really good to know. So no carrot muffins, just carrot cake. This looks so good. It smells so good. It's mostly the cinnamon. The cinnamon smells just delightful. Okay, that looks good. I don't want to knock too much air out of that, mainly because I don't want it to collapse and lose any structure. So I'm going to pop this in the oven. There we go. So the chocolate cake obviously has cocoa in it, and it has very similar ingredients to the vanilla cake. The only difference is instead of the cocoa, you just add a bit more vanilla flour. Okay, so we're going to add, again, our gluten-free all-purpose flour blend. And I'm just moving that egg bowl over here, and I'm going to add my sugar and my cocoa and my salt, baking powder, and baking soda. And then I'm going to crack 2 eggs into a separate bowl just to make sure there's no shells in there. No, there's no shells. And there's that one, and that's going to go in. And then I'm going to put in 1.5 cups of water. And I'm going to put in 3/4 cup of oil. And then I'm going to add in a splash of vanilla. And I'm going to add my vinegar now. There we go. So I'm going to mix this up. I'm going to start on low, and then I'm going to mix it up and beat it really well. Oh, this looks so good. I'm gonna lower it down. I'm gonna scrape down the sides. And a little bit of the paddle, because I can see there's a little bit of flour and stuff stuck on the paddle. And I can hear the raspberries, the strawberries. Oh, look at that. They look great. So let's mix in the chocolate chips. I'm going to start with about half of them. Oh, that's looking really good. Oh, chocolate and strawberry smells so good. Okay, I don't think I need much more in chocolate chips there. I think that looks pretty good. And I don't want to create a huge thick layer for the chocolate cake. I just want something nice and subtle that's just in there just to maintain the moisture and just keep everything yummy together and just enjoyable. Not that the whole cake isn't going to be enjoyable. It's going to be very enjoyable. I just meant more along the lines that, like, having something like a bit of a surprise in the middle is always nice. Okay, so I'm gonna just set that aside. Those chocolate chips can go away. I'm gonna give this one last mix. And I think that is ready to go. So I'll take that off. Scrape this. This is looking good. Okay. Scrape everything really one more time. There we go. And then I've got a medium-sized cake pan, and I only want to fill this up, again, 2/3 full. The pan has already been greased. I think this is going to take all of it as well. Whew, this is great. Look at that. Almost all of it's done. Give it a spin. Okay, and this one's going to go into the oven as well. And I'm putting all of them in the oven for about 25 minutes. So I'm just checking them at the 25-minute mark. I'm going to spin them around so that they rotate. I'm going to move them around so that they're all not baking in the same spot, so one section gets burnt or overcooked and one spot is raw. So it's just keep an eye on it. They'll probably take closer to 40 minutes. Okay, one more cake to go. So we want to start, and I'm not even going to put it in the mixer right now, with our gluten-free all-purpose flour blend and our sugar, our baking soda, baking flour, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. I think 3 cakes is a lot for me to do right now. And I've got some vanilla bean seeds. Oh, that smells intense. So when I make my own vanilla bean extract for vanilla, I scrape the beans out and I keep the beans in the fridge, and they keep almost indefinitely, and I add that to my ice cream and I add it to my vanilla cakes, and it just brings out the flavor and it just makes it pop. So I'm gonna put in, the equivalent of at least 1 bean in there. Don't want to lose all that yumminess. One more. There we go. And it will mix in really nicely. Okay, and I'm going to put in a little bit of vanilla bean extract. And then I've got my eggs. There's that one. And that looks, I see a shell. Let me grab my shell remover, which is just another shell. Come on, where'd it go? Oh, it's hiding. Maybe the spoon will help. There we go. You got it. Okay. And that's why I like cracking them into another container. And that one looked fine as well. Okay. And then I want to put in my 1.5 cups of water. And my 3/4 cup of salad oil. And then, because I have all of my flour covered up and my baking soda and everything covered up, I can add in my 1/2 teaspoon. Oh, look at that. There's even a little reaction. But that's what we want. We want that air in there. So I'm going to mix this up. Okay, so I'm going to scrape down the walls. This is looking really good. You can really see the vanilla bean in it. It's really pretty. Okay, and that is done as well. So I'm going to scrape off the paddle. There we go. Make sure it's all well blended. There we go. And for this, I have 2, because this is going to be our second from the top and top tier. So I'm going to fill this 2/3 of the way, and this one 2/3 of the way. And obviously, like, this little one isn't going to take very long to bake. Okay. Okay. And these are going to go into my oven as well. And I'm going to bake them. I'm going to check them at 25 minutes. I'm going to churn them. I'll let you know when they come out, how long they took to bake. But I'm going to bake them, and then I'm going to let them cool fully before we proceed to the next step. We'll see you in a moment. So while the cakes are in the oven baking, and it smells so good out here, we need to sugar some fruit, because I want to do some decorative fruit on top of each layer, because I think it'll just look really, really pretty. And what we want to start with is we're going to crack an egg, and we just want the egg yolk. And you can toss the egg back and forth until just the yolk comes out. Oh, there it is. Okay, and then I'll just put the yolk in there. I'll deal with that later. And I'm gonna grab a fork, and I'm just gonna whisk it up. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. And then I'm going to grab a tray with a cooling rack. And I'm gonna start with some. Feels like there's something in that. There we go. Okay. And we're just going to lightly brush the edges of the grape. Oops, one of the grapes fell. That's all right. Okay, easy so far. And then I'm using a granulated sugar, and I'm just coating this. That's the look I'm going for. Oh, that looks beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and that's going to be the top. So I'll just do it again. Okay, so let's do a blackberry. There we go. Do another one. And let's do a few blueberries. I'm going to see if I can do them in a cluster. Like that. And I wonder if I grab a small bowl. Oops. Put that back. If I sprinkle my sugar on there. Oh, look at that. That's what we're looking for. Let's do that for all the berries. That's going to be so much easier. So I'm going to take some of the black raspberries or blackberries, just lightly coat them, just like that. And do another set of blackberries. Some of those look a little on the ripe side. You want not green, but really nicely, perfectly ripe fruit. Okay, and we just give that a shake. Look at that. That looks pretty good. And I'm gonna give it the last little sprinkle just to make it look a little fresher. Those blueberries look amazing. Okay, so those can go. And toss that in with that. Let's see what the raspberries look like. So I'm gonna take the raspberries and I'll just lightly brush them. You can see just how much fruit you can do with one egg white. It's impressive. Okay. And just a little bit more here and there. Flip them over. A little bit more. Just making sure I've got everything coated. I'm going to move that off. Do a bit of sugar. And that can go there and there. Candied fruit, or sugared fruit, I should say. I think the blueberries are going to look the best. And I'm going to just put them right in there. And I'm going to just paint them as best I can without too much of the egg wash. And there we go. We do a little bit more sugar. Okay, I'll just pour these out. I want them not on top of each other. They need to be single layer. And that's so that they can dry out really well. And I'm just going to give it all a really good sprinkle. Those blueberries I'm really impressed with. The grapes look magnificent. It all looks so good. Okay, and I've still got a few minutes on the timer, and I'm gonna let this cool, and we're gonna start putting it together. So, see you in a moment. Cakes are cooling down really nicely. I'm really impressed with how they're cooling down. It's taken a few hours. The carrot cake took the longest, obviously, because it's the largest. The quickest ones were the vanilla cakes, and oh, they smell so good. I can't wait to get a little bit of vanilla icing in there. They didn't take long at all, maybe 45 minutes. This one was a few minutes shorter. This one took probably closer to 60 minutes. And then the chocolate cake right here was in between. I just set my timers for 25 minutes, and then I checked them and I rotated them, and I took a skewer and poked it right in, pulled it out, and if it was just covered in goo, then I knew that it needed quite a bit more time. If it was just a little bit covered, or if there was just crumbs barely sticking to it, I knew it was almost done. The carrot cake, it's gonna be a moist cake anyway because of all the pineapple in there. So that's probably why it took so much longer to cook and bake. But I think I'm ready to start putting this together. And I've got everything ready except for the icing. So I'm gonna set these cakes aside, just to let them finish cooling. Okay, and this is a big batch of icing. And when I mean a big batch, look at the amount of butter there. Holy crumpets. That is a lot of butter. And what I want to do is I'm going to take my butter, and because I'm using an unsalted butter, I'm adding just a little bit of salt. That's to help accentuate the flavor. And I'm going to whip this butter until it's really nice, light, and fluffy. Look at that butter, not a lump in sight. I'm gonna scrape down my walls because I am going to mix it up a little bit more, but before I do that, I'm gonna add my corn syrup. And this is my version of it's not quite an American buttercream. It's not quite, well, it's definitely not an Italian buttercream, but it's not as sweet as an American buttercream icing. It's a little bit more savory and butterier for an icing, which I really like. Okay, so we're gonna add in our corn syrup. And this might look like a lot of stuff, but we've got 4 cakes. I had to check it. 4 cakes to decorate. And so we're doing, not only are we doing all the sides and the top, but we're doing it twice because we're putting a crumb coat on, and then we're gonna put a finish coat. I'm gonna see if I can get away with just a crumb coat for the sides, but definitely the top is gonna need a finished coat. So I'm gonna put that on. I'm even gonna add my vanilla, and I'm gonna mix that up. You can really see the golden color coming out from the corn syrup. I'm using a golden corn syrup. If you want to use like a white or a clear corn syrup, by all means, you can do that. Just keep it a little whiter. But I like the golden color. It just gives it a little bit more richness and depth. So now I'm going to add my icing sugar. I think I'm going to add this slowly or in parts, just because it is a lot of icing sugar. So I'm going to lower that, and we're just going to scoop, I'm going to say about half of it in, and then I'm going to scoop the other half in. There we go. Because I really don't want this going everywhere. Okay, so that's mixed in. While it's running, I'm just gonna slowly put in a scoop and just let it just mix into the butter, work its magic, do its thing. My main goal is just to keep it from coming out of the bowl. And look at that, I think I was successful on that. And turn it up a notch. And I just beat that on high for about 30 seconds. So I'm gonna scrape down the walls again. It is way too thick for using for anything really. I mean, it would be lovely to use as on your cake, but it's a little on the thick side. So that's where adding some kind of liquid, and I'm opting to add a bit of whipped cream. And I start with a couple tablespoons. Again, really slow because I don't want it sloshing out. I also don't want to make it too wet. Oh, it's looking good. I think I'm going to add the rest of the whipped cream, but I'm just going to scrape down these walls one more time, just to make sure it's all blended together. That looks really, really nice. That's a really nice consistency too. Okay, I probably won't need much, but there, we'll just add the rest. Mix it up. I think that's the icing. It looks beautiful. It's important. Wow, that's a lot of icing. It's important to really beat it and keep it nice and fluffy, and you can see just how nice and light this looks. Oh yeah, it just falls from the paddle. That's what I'm looking for. Oh yeah. Okay. A little bit here. There we go. Put that in there. And I'm going to put this away down here. And I'm going to scrape my sides. Oh, that looks great. I can hear the air bubbles. Okay. I'll just make sure. Oh, it's a perfect balance of sweet and fat. It's really nice. What I could do if I wanted to take it a step further, I could take a little bit more of that vanilla bean, and I could mix that, beat that in, and you'd have little flecks of vanilla bean, but I didn't want to change the overall color. I just wanted a nice uniform color. And I didn't want the vanilla bean to fight with like the carrot cake or overpower any of the other flavors and things that I'm doing with the cake. So we need to start putting this together. So I've got a massive turntable because I want to put the cake right on this, and then as I'm decorating, I'm gonna spin it, and it's gonna allow me to work it that way. Let's start with the carrot cake. So I was going to leave the bases on. You don't have to leave the base on. If you don't leave the base on, you're going to want to get like a cake pad and transfer it to a cake pad. But because I'm just using it at home, I'm just gonna leave it on the cake pan because I know I'm getting it back. So I am gonna put a dollop of icing right in the middle just to help hold the cake in its place. And you might be looking at it and going, that's crooked. And I'm like, yes, I know it's crooked. We're gonna level it off. And I'm just gonna start cutting in. And we're just gonna level it as best we can. It's okay if it comes apart a little bit. And you know what? I'm gonna take that bowl back, because then I can put all the cake crumbs into it. Oh, look at that, little bits of pineapple in there. That looks great. So it's important to have a good, solid base. And I think with this cake, it is solid. It's still a little on the warm side. I might wait another half hour just for it to firm up before I continue. So I'll see you in a moment. So it's been about 10 minutes, and I have to say I kind of jumped the gun. I didn't need the turntable quite yet, so I've removed it because if I put the turntable down and the cake, then I wouldn't have room for the other 3 cakes to decorate and to put together, and then the turntable is at the end. But everything else is the same. So I'm going to slice this carrot cake in half as carefully as I can, because I want to put some icing right in the middle. Because who doesn't like icing in the middle? There we go. Okay. And then take my offset palette. There we go. I'll just set that there for a moment. And I'm gonna get, how do I want to do this? Yeah, let's just do clumps here and there. We've got an ice cream scoop, and that helps. I don't want to go too crazy with the icing. That should be good. Oh yeah. Look at that. And I want to get it nice and close to the edge. And I'm not too worried of how it looks because it's just going to get squished back together. Okay, so I'm going to just smooth it out a little bit. And I'm not too worried if it hits the edges entirely. It just needs to be really close to the edge. And by edge, I don't mean the edge of the counter like it just was. Go. Okay. Now I get to pick this back up. We're going to set it back down. Beautiful. Just going to press it down a little bit. So now I'm going to put a crumb coat on this. And this is where I'm wondering if my icing is a bit on the cool side, but that's all right. We'll work with it. Start with 3 scoops, and I've got a small offset, and I'm going to start with the outside edges. That looks pretty good so far. And this is just, let's do it quick. Let's get it on. We're not worried about the crumbs, hence the name crumb coat. Because once it sets up, then we can put the finish coat on it. We just want to get as much of the cake itself covered. And it just helps everything smooth right out. You're going to use, just like when you're painting, the majority of your icing is going to be used during the crumb coat because you're leveling out surfaces and you're making sure it's covering everything, and then the second coat, it's like a nice light skim coat, and it's just going to make it just beautiful when it's done. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to put any of this icing that I've put on my cake already back into my bowl. So I'm going to grab another bowl here, just a small bowl, to collect any excess icing that I can use on the other cakes. I don't care if it goes on the chocolate cake or the vanilla cake, because it's just the crumb coat. But you want to make sure that it doesn't mess up your nice, clean icing for your top coat. A little bit here, a little bit there. Oh, it almost smells like a cream cheese icing. It's not, but it smells like a cream cheese icing. Okay, so let's pick this up. And I'm going to set this over here for it to set up. And I'm going to move on to the chocolate cake. The chocolate cake, and the same thing. I'm going to take off the top a little bit. There we go. That looks good. Oh, that looks beautiful on the inside. It smells great. I could take a little bit more off, I suppose, because you can see like on the edge here, maybe but I don't really want to cut much else off of the cake. I'd rather just fill that with icing. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. And this one we're going to slice in half as well. And I want to leave the bottom or the base on as well for this. If this was going out somewhere, then you might want to put a cake pad or a cake base on it, but because it's just sticking around the house here, I'm not too concerned. Oh, look at the inside of that. Doesn't that look nice? That looks great. Okay, so I need a large piping tip. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a little bit of icing into a piping bag here. Got, I think, 2 scoops. I have to go around the outside edge because we've got that ganache. Okay, and then it's just right around. I find doing a little button right in the middle helps keep the center up. And then let's grab that ganache. Oh, it looks good. I should try it. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. That's looking really, that's going to be really nice when people cut into it. They're going to be like, oh my goodness. Okay, so that's that. And I think I'm going to do just a little bit more icing, because any extra icing that oozes out, we can just use for the crumb coat. But I'd rather that ooze out than the chocolate ganache. I'm just getting rid of that because I don't think I need that anymore. Okay, we're going to put that back on. That looks good. Okay, and then the crumb coat. Okay, so we're going to pick this one up, and I'm going to set this one aside. And then it's on to the vanilla one. Well, one of the two vanillas. So again, I'm going to cut off the top, and this one really puffed up. So let's see. Oh, look at that though. Isn't that nice? You know what, I'm going to take it down a little bit more because it looks like that whole section is just crumbled, and I don't want it to crumble. Oh, it smells lovely. Okay, and then I'm going to take, just make sure that we're level. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to take my knife and slice this in half. Flip it open. Look at all those nice holes. I might have to make more icing. Okay, let's put a scoop of that on. Okay, and we're just going to cover this. With some icing, I'll steal a little bit of that. There we go. And place that back on there. Brush off some of the crumbs, and we do the crumb coat. So I'm going to go ahead and finish crumb coating this and the small one. I'm going to get them to set up in the fridge for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll take it to the next step. See you in a moment.